in this scene.
Yeah.
And what's so interesting is that like this is like obviously the first moment and basically the most overt moment of like really bloody violence that takes place in the film.
Yeah.
And but the way that the camera like lingers on the bloody axe going into the air and then going down into the skull and then lingering on
The bodies.
sort of like the bodies and the carnage and the steps and
Yeah.
the people screaming at these corpses just lying out front the church while like this distorted Christmas music sort of like takes over the images, and it's revealed that it's playing on his 8-track player as it cuts to him driving around in the car, like kind of like going maniac mode and being ecstatic
and
about what he's just done and stuff like that. It's kind of just sad and creepy.
Oh yeah, yeah. And he starts like as he does a lot of these things like driving, he'll hum like certain Christmas carols, and just it's never normal. It's never just a normal hum. That the hum, it gets louder in volume. He almost feels like he's about to break into yelling, but continues to humming. Like it's a very unhinged vocal performance. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly. Feels like throat singing or something like that. And back to the church real briefly. It like the way that he slowly goes across the bodies. It's very similar to like how he was slowly filming the sensual sex scene like before, but now he's filming kind of the violence that resulted in it. And yeah, he just lingers for a good like 15 seconds on those three people that are just dead in front of the church.
Yeah, it's worth noting, because I haven't brought it up yet, but this was shot by a cinematographer named Ricardo Aronovich. And I looked up the rest of his filmography, and dude, his filmography is working with like Costa Graves, Louis Malle, Raul Ruiz, like just various French, Greek, Polish, Italian art filmmakers.
That's awesome.
And when I was listening to the commentary track with John Waters and Lewis Jackson, the director, like a lot of the points of reference he was making for stuff he was stealing from, was stuff like The Servant or Petra von Kant, or he was pulling from like Fassbinder, like the German art filmmaker. And I was sitting here going, oh my god. So like he really thought through again how this trashy premise, but how he was going to take it psychologically seriously, and how the effects of it weren't going to be sort of like a fun slasher. He was like, I really wanted these murders to feel terrible.
Yeah, you really feel for Harry like throughout this. It's a little different. Like once we were comparing it once again to Silent Night, Deadly Night, and although you understand like the trauma and all that, it doesn't really let you feel a lot of that main character and why he's so enraged. Whereas with this, you really feel sad for Harry, and you're with him the entire time through his entire transformation, and I was oddly moved, and I didn't think that Christmas Evil was going to do that.
No. Well, because I mean, shit, like, eventually the back half of this movie, after he's, like, sort of, like, done this murder, it becomes, obviously, he gets increasingly unhinged, but he's still trying to, in his own way, save Christmas. He's like the anti-Grinch. He's going around town trying to make sure Christmas goes off really, really well for people, and he arrives at like a Christmas party where he's like dancing with the kids and the parents, which is kind of a scary image because it's happened just after the image of him killing people like seconds earlier.
Right.
But he has this like speech that I think you were referring to earlier, where he's talking to the kids and he's saying, I gotta go. But he gives this big speech about, be good to and listen to your parents and learn from your teachers. And if you're good and you're open and you're nice, I will bring you presents every single year. But then he says, but if you're bad boys and girls, your name goes in the bad boys and girls book, and I will bring you something horrible. And it just sucks the air out of the room. Everyone goes, okay, what? and
Santa's
Then he just
serious
starts
this year.
doing the maniacal laughter, and everyone's like, "Oh yeah, okay, he was just joking."
And my favorite part about that is the kids are still kind of like, they're a little uncomfortable, but when he starts laughing, they actually start to get a little bit brighter. Whereas the parents just more and more are like, this is wrong. Something is going on with this guy. And once again, I just love that dynamic between the kids, Santa, and the parents. It's endlessly entertaining to me.
Yeah, and then it just becomes a series of, once again, him trying to save Christmas, but then things, him taking it too far in certain ways, and some people not being receptive to him in other ways. Like when he tries to get down Frank's chimney, and then he finds out that he's like too large. And Frank is his coworker who asked him to cover his shift at the toy factory so that he could go drinking with his friends, but lied and said that he was going to spend time with his family.
Right.
But he essentially like breaks in to leave presents for Frank's children. And then when he goes into Frank's bedroom, Frank like wakes up and he basically kills Frank. I think he slashes his neck open with like a Christmas tree star.
Yeah.
But the sequencing is that his neck slashes open and he lands on his wife, who wakes up in like this shocked despair. And then as he starts to leave, the kids are like sort of like doing what we saw him doing at the beginning of the movie. They're just excited that they saw the real Santa in action. That they're sort of spying on him, and they're smiling and laughing, and they're having such a great time watching him leave after the image of him slicing their dad's neck open on top of their mother.
Yeah.
And then as he's running out of the house, all you can hear is the screaming mother echoing through the house.